most of your users you're trying to engage with are probably expecting something a bit like Prolaborate. Something web-based for a start, colorful, tailored to me, doesn't include stuff that I don't understand, hides things that I don't need to see, and is presented to me in a way that makes some kind of sense. So that's probably what your users are expecting. A large number of them, not necessarily everybody, but I would say a good number. If you do use it, there is work to do. So you're going to have to hide stuff they don't need to see. You're going to have to produce these Prolaborate dashboards. Again, that's what people expect to see. It's something like this sort of diagrams up here with lots of groovy stuff on it, curated to me as a stakeholder, me as an individual, but as a group. So in our case, we had a dashboard for the process owners, and it had lists of the processors and lists of this and diagrams and all what they would expect. So it's a really, really friendly way of getting at EA information. I think I mentioned before, the technology is a full-on web implementation with all the web implementation adventures. And in a world where most people are going to cloud-based IT, then you'd be brave, I think, to not put it in the cloud, or at least explore that first. So talk to us or one of the other cloud providers that says, put Prolaborate in the cloud and save yourself an awful lot of work. Old school stuff is still relevant. There's a large part of the planet who still work off of spreadsheets. So if they want a spreadsheet, give them a spreadsheet. You can, as I said in the delivery section, you can export a little CSV from EA pretty easily with native function. You can export it with Office MDG and make it a bit cleverer. You can export it with, and I think in that one, you can then pull it back in again as well. So perfectly possible, given that what we're all about here is engaging rather than delivering, is send them a spreadsheet, let them edit some stuff, get the spreadsheet back, review it, put it back into EA. And things like EA Docs XL will let you compare the spreadsheet that comes back with what's in EA already and go, look at where all the changes are going to happen and say, yep, those are all sensible, just dump them straight back into EA. So you can make that interaction quite quick. But spreadsheet people are spreadsheet people. You might struggle to talk them out of it. Once they've seen that you can do it in a spreadsheet, I find there may be more in a listening place to say, could you do this for me in a different way? Actually, I could. Same group of people really are document people. Yeah, they shouldn't be in a web world. They shouldn't be document people anymore, but there's whole industries that work entirely off of documents, which is why EA Docs has been selling for the last 10 years and more. So in this case, it's not the deliverable document, remember, it's the work in progress document. And given that it's pretty easy to just hit the button and say generate and send it, that's pretty good. The downside with using documents as a kind of a work in progress engagement mechanism is the comments that you get back. Because this is your normal way of doing things is I start with my model, I run through EA Docs or document generator of your choice, I produce a Word document, I send multiple copies to multiple people, that's fine. They produce all of they do track changes, because they're not stupid, they know about track changes. They put that on and they put their comments and they change things and they strike things out and delete things and add things. And then you get back N documents, which you then have to, I don't know, really, you have to go through one at a time and check that the change that this user made to that document isn't the same as that user made to the same document in the same place, but they contradict each other. Because this person asked for a red one and this one asked for a blue one, and it's a moment it's green, so I don't know what to do. So this bit is entirely painful. And those of you who've spent evenings and weekends with a bunch of review documents doing this know this is just awful. Yes, you can produce the documents in quantity. It's when they come back. And of course, this is why we're producing it. We're producing it to get engagement. We're producing it so that we can get back all of these comments and put them into our model and take account of them. And yet that's the most horrible bit. So a little while ago, we had and the EA Docs team had to think about this and came up with a different solution. So this solution says, first of all, you don't need to produce the same document for everybody, because one of the things we know about using models and generating documents from those models is not everybody has to have the same document. You can have multiple documents, different types of document for different kinds of people, all drawn from the same content. This is where EA Docs came from 15 years ago, was exactly that use case. So we can send those documents, either the same ones or variations, to our reviewers, and we can get their comments on them using word track changes, and then feed them back into this thing called Revision Manager, which is a bit of EA Docs we developed a year or two ago at the beginning of lockdown. There's videos of this on the internet, on YouTube or on eadocs.com. The gist here is, here's a list of the documents that I got back. Some of them reviewed by one person, some of them reviewed by multiple people, because they could have put it onto Office 365 and done a simultaneous edit of the document in real time. Cool stuff. And I can select, and what the Revision Manager does is it parses the document, pulls out the comments and the changes, deletions, additions, and says, I know which EA thing that referred to. Because way back in the process, back at this stage, when EA Docs generated the document, it invisibly tagged the documents with lots and lots of GUIDs, because we all know what GUIDs and things are, GUIDs and field names and tag value names, and said, this bit of data here isn't just a random string of text. It is the name field of this particular requirement, or this use case, or this business function. So by the time it comes all the way back through Word and back out here again, we can find out where all the changes were and work out that actually from all these documents that we got sent, these are the changes. And we do it by the thing in EA rather than by document. So we parse all the documents, pull out all the changes, merge them all together and say, for this actor element, the description field, or actually the register use case has a description field, and Charlie, Ian, and Claire all made comments to the description field. And or I can just say, yes, I'll accept that one, and my changes appear down here. And then when I've made all my changes, pending changes, I can say, review them and save it to the model. And that makes it all a lot simpler. So now you can use documents as a way of doing an interactive interaction with your users. Sorry, the sun's finally come out in Wales, so that's good. It's getting daytime. So we found this to be extremely effective at getting to those reviewers who really only want Word documents. And they're keen to give you their feedback. They'll happily go and use track changes and give you their feedback, but it makes the whole thing much easier. And you can imagine doing this, once a week, once every 2 weeks. Notice in this one, by the way, the documents don't have to be the same copies of the same document. So I can send the orange document to one person and the green one to other people. But because it's all tagged up with EA GUIDs and they're universal, then by the time it comes back, I don't care that the documents were different. In this case, the example maybe has them the same, because EA doesn't care. Quite cool. Trying to wrap up a bit on tools and techniques before we go and see what the project did is, please don't do this at the end of your modeling. Yeah, don't, a bit like the delivery stage, don't say, I'll run a workshop and I'll get all the data in and I'll produce the deliverable document and send it to them. They go, well, no, that wasn't right. Engagement is important. It makes them feel that they're part of the process, which of course they are. And if they don't feel they're part of the process, it's going to be hard. So try lots of stuff. Be prepared to change. Yeah, you can colors, diagram, keys. Yeah, any technique you can find to engage with them, whatever works, without making a mess of your model. And remember that no feedback doesn't mean no feedback. No feedback means they didn't even read it. So, and a final tip, I guess, this is from long experience, is when you get some feedback, then find a way to tell those people that you used it, or you ignored it, or you just combined it with somebody else's and they were more important, but do something with it and show them what you did. That will encourage them to say, oh, well, I gave them that team the feedback, I'll do it again, because something actually happens to it. So what did the project do about it? So risk management team, we went for that EA Docs approach with the interactive documents. So we produced, they produced EA Docs documents from the model and sent them to the risk management team for them to do updates, and then pull them back into Revision Manager and stuck them back into the model as required. For the process mapping people, a bit more straightforward, we said that they wanted links in SharePoint because that's where their existing process was. We said, you don't need to do that. You can put a link in SharePoint, and the Prolaborate holds the diagrams, the latest version of the diagram. So that was good. The requirements management people, it wasn't exciting, but the way that we seemed to be able to interact with those people was through the Office MDG, just producing a simple spreadsheet. So nothing very complicated. They would add little bits on and we'd pull it back in, re-import it. So not exciting, but it worked, and that was what worked for them. The decision was also, though, to try and kind of work sideways and say, actually, everybody likes the Prolaborate world. Let's try to change the process such that it's okay for people to look at output in Prolaborate rather than having to get a document. And similarly for the requirements management people. So that's kind of where we are with these guys at the moment in the engagement world, is they're trying to kind of push the Prolaborate thing sideways. And I think that's going quite well because it's visually quite appealing. There'll always be some who love their documents and don't want to go anywhere else. So let's try and grow that kind of Prolaborate world.